We saw young Chinese professionals like a basketball coach in Laos and a doctor in Sudan working directly with local people. The episode suggested this is different from the older ways of giving aid, partly because of China's own history of development. You've had the first-hand experience with Chinese volunteers in Ghana. How do these grassroots efforts compare to other international aid models you've encountered? And what strikes you as different about their approach?
At the University of Ghana, young Chinese professionals from the Confucius Institute go beyond formal teaching. They help us with free HSK exam prep, martial art classes, and even help us find Chinese jobs in Chinese companies. Now, this goes beyond the traditional aid models of funding and infrastructure. These volunteers really built personal connections with us. I remember they took weekends off to help us train for the Chinese Bridge Festival, showing hands-on commitment and which felt personal and community-based. It reminded me of Coach San and how he helped the basketball players in Laos. These efforts may be small in scale, but they have so much meaning in them.
The personal connection you're describing is really interesting. In an episode, when helping refugees in Rwanda, Zhu Zhi said, "We know what poverty looks like, and we've seen development happen." You've worked closely with Chinese people in Ghana. How do you think China's recent journey from poverty to prosperity shapes how these young people approach their work abroad? Does their background create a different perspective?
Actually, this really hits home for me because I interned at a Chinese company and my Chinese boss was a businessman who came to Ghana to sell wholesale clothes to market vendors in Accra. I translated for him during business transactions. And at first, he was really focused on whether his business would succeed. But as time went on, we worked together and I realized he started to pay attention on my personal development. He would encourage me to use more vocabulary, correct me when I'm wrong, and even take time to explain into details things I didn't understand. He once told me, in China, we didn't get here by being perfect, but we got here by trying. That really stayed with me. His words reflected a deeper meaning. Many young Chinese have grown up hearing stories about how their country transformed over time through hard work, education, and persistence. And this gives them a certain form of humility and patience when working in other countries. Their recent experience of growth makes them more understanding of what others are going through and more willing to support a step-by-step progress.
That's such a powerful insight. We got here by trying. The episode really emphasized the idea of teaching someone to fish, focusing on building local skills and knowledge like in medicine or sports, rather than just giving short-term aid. You mentioned how the volunteers helped you prepare for real-world applications. How does these Chinese focus on long-term skills transfer, especially by its youth, show a different way of working with other countries? What could this mean for the future?
Exactly. The Confucius Institute in Ghana doesn't just focus on teaching Mandarin, but on preparing students to apply it in real-life situations. These volunteers go beyond the curriculum. They help us get ready for interviews, business translations, and even formal communications in Chinese companies. I remember a volunteer who gave us extra sessions on helping us with business translations under high pressure, and another who guided me on writing formal applications for job interviews. But here was really different. They actually connect us to real opportunities. Like one helped me find a Chinese company where I interned and had the opportunity to practice my Chinese language in a real world setting. And it made a really big difference because we weren't just learning to pass a test, but learning to build a future. These kind of long-term skills are what really stay with us. They give us confidence and ability to grow on our own, which makes their impact so much more meaningful. I think this approach could really change how international corporations work in the future.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.